Good morning. Good morning. Thank you for being here. My name is Alex Ubaez. I'm the United States Attorney here in the District of New Mexico. I'm joined with my colleagues from the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the United States Marshals Service, and AUSAs in my office to announce an operation conducted this week targeting the Cibola County Corrections Facility. As you likely know, Cibola County houses a large number, around 440 federal inmates waiting pretrial and some waiting to be shipped off to serve their prison sentences, in addition to some local detainees. On Wednesday, we conducted an operation resulting in the search of 12 different premises outside of Cibola County, the search of 25 detainees' cells within Cibola County, as well as arrests of 9 individuals on federal charges or new federal charges, 3 individuals in state arrests, and a number of items contraband seized. This investigation began and is ongoing, and it involves the introduction of contraband into Cibola County. When we charge people with crimes, we often ask for them to be incarcerated in various facilities around the state. When folks are incarcerated and in our care, they are truly in our care. We are responsible for their safety. We're responsible for them being housed in a way that is constitutional and maintains their dignity, which means we are responsible for making sure that drugs and other contraband will not enter and will not have access to them while they're waiting for their trial or eventual plea dates. And so today I'd like to discuss a few items relating to this operation. Because this is both an ongoing investigation and also the charging stage for a number of people, we're not going to be going over too many specifics. However, there is a lengthy affidavit that outlines many of the investigative steps that have been taken so far, and that will be made available to all of you following this press conference. There are 4 things I'd like to highlight and talk and have some of my peers here address with you. The first is our efforts to harden our efforts at the Corrections Center itself. We know through our investigation and through working with many defendants who are currently locked up, or are on the streets, that there's a number of ways in which contraband is introduced into the correctional facility. One is staff introduction. That's through guards or other staff there who will bring it bring it into the facility for distribution amongst the inmates. Another is what we call a throwover, and you'll see it detailed in the affidavit, where co-conspirators outside will throw drugs and other contraband over the fence to be recovered by inmates on the inside. Another we refer to as a body pack, where contraband is secreted in a body crevice or area, so it can be carried in when somebody is introduced into the prison population. And a final one is legal mail, whereby people will ship things under the auspices of being mail from an attorney or legal mail related, but instead will include things such as Suboxone strips, which can be hidden inside. And so there's a number of efforts that the United States Marshals Service is taking in conjunction with Core Civic to harden the facility to identify these items. One of these efforts is a very high-tech body scanning technology that lets us look and determine whether there is an item of contraband being body packed into the facility, and you'll see that described in the affidavit itself. And so the United States Marshal is with me. He'll address if you have any questions about those efforts we've been taking. The second thing I want to talk about is this. Some of the folks who are in federal custody are looking at long terms of incarceration, and they know this. And it might be easy for a person looking at 15 to life to say, I know I'm going down for 15 to life, I'm just going to make some money while I'm in here. Well, if you read this affidavit, you'll see that you still have skin in the game. It's not just your time and the new charges that we'll put on you for distributing inside of Cibola. It's also those who are helping you. It's the girlfriends and friends on the outside. It's their houses that we targeted with 12 different search warrants and multiple arrests in order to make sure that contraband is not being introduced to Cibola. I'd also like to discuss the myth of silence. On the streets, a lot of people believe in a code of no snitching, but if you look at this affidavit, you'll see 54 confidential human sources that joined Team USA to help us stop this epidemic of drug trafficking. They know these confidential human sources join Team USA because they know that when they do the right thing and help us out, we will look out for them, unlike their friends and their gangs and their friends on the inside. And finally, I'd like to end on a note of a little bit of hope for us, which is the Department of Justice has come out very strongly in its position that medications for opioid use disorder are a critical ADA compliance component for what we must provide to people who are in custody. And so there are two sides to fighting drug trafficking, right? There's the supply side, the side where we go after drug traffickers themselves and levy heavy penalties against them. But there's also the demand side, and it's our responsibility, since we understand opioid use disorder to be an ADA disorder, that we have to treat the addiction as well. And that's why the United States Marshals Service has implemented a program to adopt MOUD within within Cibola County, so we can treat those who are suffering from opioid use disorder properly with the drugs that they need to help recover and rid themselves of their addiction so they can move on and forward with their lives. And so with that, I'm going to turn over the podium. We'll go first with FBI ASAC Philip Russell, to be followed by the United States Marshal Dave Barnett.
Thank you. Good morning. I'm Philip Russell. I'm the Assistant Special Agent in charge for FBI Albuquerque, New Mexico Division. This week's operation demonstrates the FBI's commitment to the public that we will dismantle criminal enterprises throughout the state of New Mexico. The FBI, along with their federal, state, local, tribal partners, are determined to bring drug traffickers to justice for their crimes they have committed and for the damage they have done to our communities. And I would like to thank the U.S. Marshals Service, the New Mexico State Police, the U.S. Attorney's Office, Core Civic Intelligence Unit, and other FBI divisions who have assisted us this week with this successful operation. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is David Barnett. I'm the U.S. Marshal for the District of New Mexico. The U.S. Marshals Service is committed to providing a safe and secure environment to prisoners that are under our care. As U.S. Marshal, I am very appreciative of the partnerships with our federal, state, and local partners. These partnerships are vital as they foster trust, communication, and cooperation with the community as a whole. I see all of us here as an affirmation of our commitment to combat crime, disrupt drug trafficking operations, and hold accountable anyone looking to profit from addiction. Together, we are working tirelessly to improve the lives of our New Mexico communities.
Thank you. And with that, we'll take any questions.
I know you said you weren't going to go into too many details regarding the case, but how were these guys getting the drugs into Cibola County?
Sure. There's multiple ways, and as you'll see eventually in this, I think, 100-plus page affidavit. We've identified several groups of people doing it in multiple ways. It can go from introduction from the staff, so someone being paid off who is on Core Civic staff to bring drugs in, or to help other people pass through security without being caught. A thing that we call a throw-over, because if you go out to the Core Civic facility, you'll see a fence that's really close to a truck stop and gas station, from which people can literally throw objects over into the yard. Body pack, which is where an inmate or someone coming into custody, sometimes on a violation, sometimes on new arrest, will secrete contraband in a body cavity and bring it in. And then finally, legal mail is one that we see, Suboxone strips or other flat or simple substances being shipped into the prison.
How often do you all see situations like this in general and then in Cibola?
Sure, and so this came to our attention because, and if any of you come and visit us in courts in the past couple of months, you would have heard a number of folks going before the judge, frankly, and complaining that Cibola is awash with drugs, or at least was awash with drugs. We know this both through their reporting. We know it through the confidential human sources that we spoke with in this investigation. We know it by the amount of contraband that we find within the facility and the number of overdoses that have happened within the facility.
Are any of the folks that were arrested, are they correctional officers?
There were no correctional officers or staff arrested.
Do you have plans to look in that area in the future?
is identified, us knowing that staff participation, whether it be carrying in themselves or helping other people carry in, is involved. It's absolutely an area of interest for us.
Any chance that given the geographic issues with that detention center, the Marshals Service might want to move their federal prisoners somewhere else?
Sure, and the Marshals Service keeps prisoners in many different facilities around the state. We just have large amounts there in Cibola. I think, I'm not going to speak for them. I think they're always open to new partnerships, but I don't know if you have any additional comments on that.
No, absolutely. A large part of our federal prisoner detainees are in Cibola, but they are throughout the state of New Mexico.
Just given the affidavit that talks about the ravine and the truck stop nearby, that it seems like it poses more impediments to keeping drugs out.
It's true, there are many challenges that come with the Cibola Correctional Facility, but those challenges are also seen in other facilities, and the U.S. Marshals and along with the law enforcement partners, we're committed to filling in those gaps to keep our detainees safe.
How unusual is it for defendants to complain to judges about Cibola being awash in drugs?
It's a thing that I have heard myself as a Line AUSA, former Line AUSA in this office, and as a United States Attorney. I couldn't compare it to other districts, but I know it's a thing that I've heard myself, that my AUSAs have heard, and the court has heard and commented on.
Do you fault Core Civic at all for letting this get to where it is today?
At this point, we are working, and as we've noted, worked with Core Civic in this investigation. They have been partners to us in facilitating our access and our investigation of these matters. And so at this point, they have been our partners.
Was this an organized ring, or can you speak to their motives?
Sure, there are several organized, maybe I don't know organized is the right word, but there's several groups of individuals who are working together and with various teams of people on the outside to introduce drugs. The interest really is profit, right? Folks want to come in and make money. As you might imagine, drugs are a lot more valuable in custody than they are out of custody, and so there's a big profit margin for folks who can get it into the facility. So it's greed.
Is there a particular age group in which these activities are occurring amongst incarcerated individuals?
I don't know. Possibly. I haven't looked at that. It's a good question.
And I know that obviously this is a pretty substantial issue. You were also talking about the importance of creating that safe environment for those individuals once incarcerated. How do you guys hope to kind of fix those efforts or change those efforts in the near future so that this isn't a constant occurrence?
Sure. Marshall wants to speak to the efforts with Cibola.
Well, our ongoing efforts are, like I said, they're ongoing. We're always looking for ways to improve, and just as much as we improve this situation, we're going to continue to look for situations like that to improve in Cibola, as well as other correctional facilities throughout the state of New Mexico.
You said you're adding new technology to Cibola County. Is that brand new, due to this case, or is this kind of just something that you've all had ongoing?
It's new-ish, but I'll let, with your permission, Chief Russ Lashley speak to that.
Good morning. My name is Russell Lashley, the Chief of the District of New Mexico. And as far as the new technology, Core Civic took this situation very serious. And how they partnered with us to come up with new solutions were through some technologies. So as drones were used to drop drugs inside the facility, they put up anti-drone netting to catch drugs as well as to prevent the drones from coming over. The next step that they took was they put in the TSA-styled screening, which allowed them to find drugs that were body packed. And that was another incredible use of technology. And that's an example of where they attempted to partner with us. And then additionally, they were trying new techniques for any way to prevent drug introduction into that facility. So with that, they're still doing other items too, where they try to provide programming and the use of the MOUD in that facility to help with drug addiction, because everyone knows that that's an incredibly difficult thing to overcome. And the credit should absolutely go to the U.S. Attorney for driving that to make sure that they're ADA compliant. And then it should be known that Cibola additionally came out and met that as quickly as possible. So I feel like all of those were efforts to try to keep the population in that facility safe, secure, and that the U.S. Marshals honored their commitment to do the same. Thank you.
What drugs are we talking about in this case? And then what kind of drugs are you all seeing in general trying to make its way through there?
I think we identified Suboxone, methamphetamine, and fentanyl. Is there any others?
Spice.
And spice, THC, yeah. All right, thank you all very much. Appreciate your time. Have a great day.
Thank you.